So, last night, imagine that we've seen the greatest netball game that we've ever seen. With 3 seconds to go, it's 100 all versus the despised and hated Kiwis. And one of your GAs or GOs or RSVPs, whatever you wear on your bibs, has got to the other end and has thrown this absolutely special, remarkable ball, and it's just juggled around the top and gone bang, 101 to 100, and we've won. We've been victorious again. Magnificent. Everyone's talking about the diamonds, the glory, the wonder of this game. And all around the country, the media are talking about netball, and all around Australia, little boys, little girls, little 8-year-olds are talking about netball and this amazing, exciting, wonderful, entertaining, brilliant, fast, explosive game that is netball. And they've all said to Mum and Dad, would you please take us to the local netball club? The family just happens to live at netball, with apologies to anyone who lives in Bundaberg. They just happen to live in Bundaberg and they go down to the South Bundaberg Netball Club. I just picked that randomly, so if you want to come and pick on me later, if you're from South Bundaberg, I'll accept that completely. Just bring a bottle of your local rum. So off they go, little boy, little girl, 2 8-year-olds go down to the South Bundaberg Netball Club. And they walk in, and there's Deirdre, known as Dee, or DD to her friends that have known her for a long time. She's been there for 40 years, and she's beautiful. Seriously, she's the heart and soul of this game, of every game in this country. She's a passionate, loving, beautiful, wonderful amateur who is the lifeblood, and without her we cannot exist. And she's amazing. And she's done it all. She's been a player, she's been a ref, she's been a coach. She's cleaned up, she's sold raffles to chicken, she's done sausage sizzles, she's done it all. She's served on committee, she's been a selector, she's made outfits, she's taken teams away, she's been state champs, national champs, everything you can think of, every role that you can possibly imagine. She's performed for this sport, for these girls, for this club, for this region, and she's given her life. She's a wonderful human being, and that little boy, little girl walk in and say, Deirdre, we'd like to play this game of netball, this exciting, wonderful, brilliant, magnificent game of netball. And she says, okay. Off you go, 30 laps around the court, because if you want to play the game, you've got to get fit. Off you go, 30 laps. The kids go, well, she must know what she's talking about. She's a legend in this town. She's a beautiful. I'd love this woman to be my grandmother. Wow, she's remarkable. She's incredible. Sure, I came here to play this amazing game. I came here to move and throw and pass. But that's what she says we've got to do. Let's go. So they do their 30 laps. And they come back a little bit tired, and they're looking at her and saying, now do we get to play this remarkable game? Now do we get to play netball? She says, no, now we've got to work on our rectus abdominis and our core stability, because I learnt that at a Netball Queensland coaching course. That's what you've got to do next. You've got to have a core. Let's get our core going. So this little 8-year-old boy and girl, yeah, well, this is pretty cool. We've got to do this. I can understand. Dee says this is the way to go. She knows what she's talking about. So off they go. And they get up again with fire in their eyes, love in their heart, expectation. Filling their being. They want to play netball. They want to do what the Diamonds did. And she says, now it's time for drills. Seriously, this sport's got more drills than Bunnings. So they've got the left drill and the 2-on-2 drill and the 3-on-3 and the go right drill and the fast drill and the ball drill. And the kids are doing drills and drills. They think they're carpenters and they're going on and on. But this is what Dee, the local legend, the person who has given her life to this game, has said, this is the way you've got to go to play netball. And there's 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes before Mum and Dad are going to come and pick them up. And finally, Dee says those words that they've been desperately longing to hear. Okay, guys, let's have a game before we go home. And for 5 minutes, they throw the ball around and they feel magnificent. They're playing this incredible game that some of you have given your lives to. And the one thing that excited them and energised them and got them to come to the South Bundaberg Netball Club was given to them right at the end and in a very small dose. And then they get in the car and mum and dad say, hey, wow, netball, hey? What was that like? Was that really wonderful? Was it exciting? Wasn't that good, really? We ran, we did drills, we did defensive drills, we did defensive patterns. I got a much better rectus abdominis. But did you play? Did you get any goals? Oh, we played a little bit at the end, but they played us against the big kids because there wasn't enough of them to make up a full team and their coach didn't turn up. So we sort of had a bit of a game at the end. Mum says the only words that actually matter in this whole experience, Mum says, so do you want to go back next week? I'm not sure. We've lost them. We've lost them. The reality of sport around the world, not just netball in Bundaberg, the reality of sport around the world is competitive sport is on its knees. Competitive sport, junior kids club sport is on its knees around the world. The number of kids who are playing rugby league in Sydney. I come from Sydney, so I'm going to enjoy saying this. The heartland of the game. Rugby league in Sydney is on their knees. They are so desperate for players that they are amalgamating adjoining districts. Canterbury, Bankstown, Balmain, St George and Cronulla, North Sydney and Manly are coming together in junior leagues because they've got no players, they've got no volunteers, they've got no referees, they've got no money. This is not underwater hockey in Emerald. This is rugby league in Sydney is battling. Rugby union, I'm in New Zealand a lot. I talk a lot slower when I'm there so they can understand. But I got in real trouble. I was at a netball conference in New Zealand last year, and the first thing I said when I stood up was, do you guys even still play netball here? Oh, the bomb hit. Wrong way to start. I thought it was being funny, but it didn't work whatsoever. But in New Zealand, if I said, think about sport in New Zealand, think of two teams. Think of the netball team and the rugby team. You think of the mighty All Blacks. Rugby in New Zealand is experiencing a 20% decline in the number of kids who are playing club rugby. In New Zealand, I've recently come back from Canada. The number of kids who are playing club ice hockey is down by 18% and even bigger in rural and regional areas. In some rural and regional areas around Australia and around the world, Olympic sports are gone. Swimming. Commonwealth Games down the road, Susie O'Neill, Kieran Perkins, Dawn Fraser, a game synonymous, a sport synonymous with this amazing country. Swimming have got a 50% reduction in the number of kids who are in competitive swimming from 20 years ago. The greatest Olympic sport for our nation, 50% down. And I'm seeing this all over the world and in every sport. Competitive sport is on its knees and it's struggling. And over the next hour and a half, I'm going to talk to you and throw some ideas on why I think they are and come up with some ideas together on how we might be able to turn it around. And that introduction that we were given then couldn't have been more apt, because in the last 6 months I've spoken at AFL conferences, NRL conferences, rugby conferences. Guess what? They're coming for you. They're coming for you. They want your girls, and they're going to come after you like you would not believe. You have lived a very much a sheltered life. This remarkable sport, which is so much a part of this country and is such a wonderful part of the upbringing and the culture and the communities around Australia, is now under threat. And I'll throw this at you. But if AFL said to me, Wayne, come and work for us for a little while, we really need to invest and grow the game of AFLW, and I was advising them instead of you, I would be coming very, very hard. My advice to them would be, let's get after them. Not get after the top. They're going to be quite happy there. But that pathway that's now there in AFL, where there's a genuine, professional, highly paid path for female athletes to pursue that wasn't there in the past would concern me if I was working with elite and sub-elite netball players. Rugby league is coming very hard. They've got a big bucket of money that they've recently come into where they're going to have a national women's rugby league competition. They don't have the players, but I can tell this very honestly and direct to you from talking to some of the senior exec in that game. They know they don't have the number of female athletes who can play the game of rugby league at a professional level to make it a great television product. So for the first time in their history, they're starting to work with touch football. Now those of you that have been around for a while, rugby league, touch football don't like each other. So a lot of people in sport don't like each other. People in the South Bundaberg Club hate the people in the North Bundaberg Club, despise the people in the West Bundaberg Club, and would easily go out of the way to kick and belt the people in the East Bundaberg Club. Isn't it funny? We're all in this wonderful, positive environment for children and for this amazing sport, yet so many people don't talk to each other because they spilled a cup of tea or didn't say the right thing 5 years ago, whatever it might be, and it's rife in sport. It's the most negative, horrible thing in sport. I would wipe one thing out in the industry, it would be that. The bitterness and the nastiness and the arguments and the fighting between people who are ostensibly doing the same thing, creating opportunities for kids to be all they can be. That's my soapbox on that one. We know that rugby league is coming very, very hard. We know that the only area of the ARU that's growing is women's rugby, particularly women's sevens. They are coming for you. So you have all of a sudden, with these remarkable athletes, these incredible girls that have represented our country with distinction for so long, have now got multiple options. I'm a 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old female athlete, tall, strong, fast, great hand-eye, great speed, great power, and I'm coming along to see my old friend Deirdre again, to see Dee. Or B, it could be Beatrice, could be Violet, could be... But she walks in and she's thinking, what's the experience I'm actually getting here? They don't respect me. They don't listen to me. I have no real engagement in the environment. I'm still doing the same drills, more or less, that I was when I was 5, 6 years of age. This isn't an environment that I really enjoy. I'm not communicated with. I'm not partnered with. I don't feel embraced. I don't feel part of this organisation. Maybe there's another relationship out there. Maybe there's something else for me that I could explore, and all of a sudden the television goes on, there's AFLW. Maybe that's an experience. Maybe that's a relationship that I want to go looking for. So they're coming. And it's been interesting, guys, over the last couple of years when I've been travelling around, people are saying, well, what's the solution? And I've seen some doozies. So we know that cricket, for example, went to their former clients. Always interesting if you're doing surveys. There's no point asking your current clients because they love you anyway. They're not going anywhere. The fact that they've filled in your survey probably says they like you or they really hate you, but you don't get a real fix. You go to your ex-clients. Go to the clients who are not coming and say, why aren't you coming anymore? And we did that, and cricket's done that, and I've done that a few places. And cricket went to their ex-clients and they said, why aren't you coming to cricket? And the ex-clients said, well, the experience is a bit dull and boring when you think about it. The kids can't bowl 22 yards in a straight line. The highest scorer in cricket is sundries quite often in junior cricket. All they want to do is beat the hell out of the ball and hit it over the fence, but it's too far back. You might as well be hitting it into another state. And they get sick and tired of waiting in the stands for their turn to go. So cricket, listening to what the clients were looking for from the experience, said, okay, let's have shorter pitches, narrower boundaries, let's have wider bats so the little kids can hit the ball, and let's have subs in and out. And that's what they're trialling in 25 places around Australia. And we're seeing a lot of the sports thinking that the problem is the product. And if we modify the product, and if we change what we're offering in terms of the product, then everything will be solved. I completely disagree. The modified products are not going to work because there's no good, it's no purpose coming up with a great solution to the wrong problem. The problem is not the sport. There's nothing wrong with netball. It's us, and it's the way we deliver the product. You can change the product. You can have 12 on 12, quarter court and 9 balls, everyone wearing bright purple and noodles up their nose, and it's not going to make any difference It's not the product. It's the way we in sport deliver it. I was down last night at Bond University at Somerset College working with the Canadian swimming team. And swimming is dull. And I can say that. I come from a big swimming background. It's dull. It's boring. But it doesn't need to be. But we were talking there, and I was talking to some coaches, and I said, so what are the biggest problems you've got? And they said, we need more pools. I said, but your numbers are down by 40%. Why do you need more pools for less kids? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, you know what? Swimming Australia should be doing more. They should be giving us more money, more time, more resources, more publicity. I said, yeah, but when they walk in, what do they get? They get you standing at the end, yelling at them, looking at a stopwatch, talking on your phone, drinking coffee, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. There's nothing wrong with swimming. It's you. It's the way you are delivering the product. Now, the beautiful thing is, if you stay with me and accept that just for a moment, that everything you want from netball is already within your hearts and minds to do something about. You don't need money. You don't need courts, don't need new courts. All you need to do is switch on to where sport has gone, and everything will turn around for you. The beautiful thing is everything you ever wanted for this sport, you already have. One of my really good friends is Ian Pope. So he's not the Pope. If you're Catholic, don't get excited. He's not the Pope, he's just a Pope. Popey would love nothing more than to convert me to becoming a Christian. And it's not going to happen. But he tries hard, and I love him. He's a great guy. Fantastic guy. He's just fought and overcome cancer. And guys are remarkable, selfless, giving, wonderful guy. He's a swimming coach. And Popey said to me a few years ago, he said, Wayne, I think it's time you found the Lord. You need to become a Christian. I said, mate, it's not for me. You know that, Popey, but I love you, mate. I'm happy to come along to church with you. So he takes me to church in Melbourne. And I've got nothing wrong with the religion. I've got nothing wrong with church. When you think about it, the lessons are pretty good, aren't they? Be kind, love each other, don't hurt each other, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Donald Trump's obviously never read that book. And can't argue with the messages are great. A whole bunch of things that are really good to live by. So we go to Popey's church. And Popey says, this is going to be great. You're going to love it. So we walk in, we walk up towards the entry to the church, and there's this old guy there. I think he actually knew some of the disciples personally. He'd been around a long time. And he says, plop, gives us the church booklet for the week, and he says, sit over there. And I said, Popey, why are we going to sit over here? He said, because we're the young group. We sit over there, that's our area to sit in. Okay, so we sit down, we're waiting for it to quiet, and this beautiful lady, just Deirdre in another hat, another dress, walks in with a guitar. And she starts playing. Dan, 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 dan. Dan, 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 dan. And that goes for another 8 verses, amen. Sits down. The guy who gave us the pamphlet to the church walks out. And he reads the booklet. He stood there for 12 minutes and he read the church booklet. I already had in my hand anyway. But he read the booklet, because he always does. The lady gets up again. Na, na, na. I wasn't sure if it was a new song, continuation of the old song. But it was done exactly the same way. Up she gets. Na, 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 na. The pastor comes out, P-A-S-T-O-R, not spirals and spaghetti. He gets out and he says, what is faith? Faith says that faith could be what faith is now, what it was yesterday, and it will be tomorrow. 1 hour and 7 minutes. Standing and reading and talking at that pace. The beautiful lady gets up. Dun, 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 amen. And it's closed. Popey said, what did you think? I said, mate, great bunch of people, but blah. Blah. It's what I remember from the 70s and why I don't go anymore. So just disengaged, not interested. And I went out and I talked to the pastor, and he said, I believe you're in sport, Wayne, and we had a bit of a yak. And I said, how's things going? I said, how's the church going? He said, we're really struggling, and numbers are falling. He said, it's only the real old people that just need the comfort and to feel part of the church that keep coming. He said, the kids are not interested. The ones who come, they sit there playing on their phones. He said, they're not really interested. He said, we've tried everything. We put on kids groups, we put on dads groups, we put on family groups, we put on movie nights. We've tried everything we possibly can to get numbers up. We just can't get anyone to come to church. I don't know what's wrong with kids today. It must be their parents. It's that internet, that evil internet that's taking the kids away. But he said, we can't get kids to come to church. And I walked away from there and I said to Popey, I said, mate, this is sport. This is sport. But it doesn't have to be. The actual lessons are great. It needs to be delivered differently. It needs to be exciting, engaging, interesting. We need to understand what it is our clients, in his case, what the worshippers are looking for, and deliver it to them. We've got to modify what we're doing and get them excited about this amazing experience that's in front of them. And I said, I think your church is dead, mate. I think it's gone. So we talked about that for a while, and 2 years later, Ian and I were in New Orleans at the same swimming conference, World Swimming Coaches Conference. Popey comes up to me again, he says, hey Goldie, let's go to church on Sunday. Let's go to an African-American revivalist church on Sunday morning. And what I tell you now, in spite of terrible impersonations that I'm about to do, don't kill the messenger for the message, actually happened. So on Sunday morning, Popey and I go down to the front desk, we go to the concierge, and we said, we'd like to go to a genuine African-American church. The guy looks at me and he says, it's black. It won't bite you. You're white, I'm black. It's okay to say it. I said, okay, fine. We want to go to a black church. What would you recommend? He says, go outside, get in a cab, give them this, tell them that's the address you want to go to. So we go out. So it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Looking forward to it. So we go out there. The taxi driver takes one look at it. He looks at us. He looks again. He says, you guys sure you want to go down there? I said, yeah, let's have a go. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. We're going out through all those areas that were destroyed by Cyclone Katrina. Abject poverty. Into an area that was a black area. We get out of the car. Not quite sure what to expect. But people are all dressed in their Sunday best. Guys dressed in suits, all the women dressed in the same pink dresses. Popey and I just in collared shirts and jeans, felt a little bit underdressed. And we go to work towards the front of the church. And this huge guy stands in front of us. I put my hand on my wallet because I was scared. And he said, welcome to the church. I'm Chris. What's your name? Wayne, Ian. Welcome, Ian and Wayne. Steps forward, hugs both of us. Welcome to the church. Takes us to our seat and says, guys, you're so welcome here. It's going to be a great day. Church builds and builds and it's full, 300 or 400 worshippers. And it's very, very quiet. And from the back of the church, two beautiful little girls dressed in pink start to walk down the middle of the pew and start singing a song. God knows my name, He knows my name, God knows my name. And they start to walk. And behind them swaying are two girls a little bit taller, a little bit older, and on it goes. And over the next 2 or 3 minutes, as the song continues, all the girls and all the ladies, all the teenagers of the church are following each other down the middle, going either side, up on the stage, up behind the pulpit, and the singing's getting louder and louder. And we find out later the last two ladies are in their late 90s. And they're all dressed the same and they're all singing the song and they're all coming together. And the sound and the music is beautiful. It's lifting you. It's lifting. You can almost feel the energy and the love and the passion of the music. And I'm standing there as someone who really doesn't belong. And I feel this is the energy and the power in this room from these people expressing what they feel about their faith. And we sit down. And the pastor comes out with apologies before you hear it. And he comes out and says, "Welcome, brothers and sisters, to the house of the Lord. If you don't mind, we're going to wrap up a little bit early today because we're playing those dirty birdies from Atlanta." So it turns out it's a big football game's on. And it's the New Orleans Saints playing the Atlanta Falcons, the dirty birdies. The pastor talks like a human. And he's really excited and says, "Let's get this over and done with so we can all get to the football game." And he says, "Ladies, thank you. That was beautiful. That was wonderful. It lifts my heart to hear you sing." And off he went. It was great. And he talked for about 5 minutes and he sat down. He couldn't have given more of himself and more of his energy to that experience. And the soloist gets up. And she could have been Aretha Franklin. For those of you, I'm 56, so those of you around about my age, Aretha Franklin's sister. She was magnificent. But again, the heart and the passion and the energy and the giving selflessly of everything she had, and she sat down almost exhausted. And then the Reverend came out. And he had a big cardboard box on the stage. And he said, "Brothers and sisters, some of you are living in a box like this." And he sat in the box. And he said, because there's three sorts of people who come to church. There's those who believe, those who say those believe, those who think they believe, those who are forced to believe, and those who really believe. I want to know which one of those are you. Are you living in a box? And the energy and the passion and the drive and the enthusiasm and the connection was magnificent, and it was 15 minutes and it was over. Almost dripping with sweat, he stands up and he says, takes a big breath, and he says, "This is a special time every week in our church with anybody who's new." Always remember the new because of what came next. Anyone who's new to the church, would you please stand up and let us welcome you to the house of the Lord. I got to stand up. Paper grabs my leg. I said, "Mate, I think they know we're not from here." We stand up. Reverend's Luther, L-U-T-E-R. He looks down and he says, "Welcome, my two brothers. Where y'all from?" I said, "Australia, Reverend." "Australia?" He's had a stroke almost. He couldn't be more excited that two people from Australia would join him and be there to join a part of his family and be part of something that was so precious and special to him. And he said, "Brothers and sisters, let's welcome our two brothers from Australia." And we got mobbed. I still have my hand on my wallet. But Ian and I got mobbed. And they stuck these little felt hearts on our lapels and our shirts. And I said to one of the guys, "What's that?" And he said, "That means you carry the heart and the love of this church everywhere you go around the world from now on." And it was stunning that these people in that neighbourhood who had no reason to respect, listen to, or be kind to two white people who've been oppressed, who've been victimised in an area of the highest murder rate in the United States, welcomed us like their brothers, like their family. And we sat down, the Reverend said, "Let's go and kick those dirty birdies." And it wrapped up. And I couldn't stop myself. I went up and I said to Reverend, I said, "Man, that was incredible. That was fantastic." And I put my hand out. And he said, "We don't do that here, brother." And he stepped off the stage and he wrapped his arms around me and he kissed me on the cheek. And face to face, he said, "You listen here, little brother. You and your family are welcome in this church and in my home for the rest of your life. Do you hear me, brother?" And I said, "Yes, Reverend, I do." And he said, "Would you like 2 tickets to the football?" And so that's what we did for the afternoon. We went to church with the Reverend and a whole bunch of his family, and it was mind-blowing. And I want you to think about that just for a moment. And no, they didn't convert me. But I want you to think about that experience for a moment. The people in Melbourne are wonderful people. People in Ian's church, they're great people. They're beautiful people. They're magnificent, wonderful, open, caring, loving, kind members of a community church who've given their life to helping other people, to sharing their faith, to connecting with other human beings. The message that they're delivering is exactly the same as the message that my friends in New Orleans were delivering. But it was delivered completely differently. The research that we're seeing about sport, guys, is coming back over and over around the world. It's coming back to the same thing. It's the experiences that we're providing to the end users, to the kids and their families, that are going to make the difference. It's not advertising. It's not marketing. It's not modified sports. It's the experience that we give to the kids and the families that will make the difference. You cannot compete with AFL on money. Nobody can in this country. You cannot compete with them. But you can deliver a better experience to kids and families across the country. Think about kids. I've got 4. One of them's down the end there, waving. I love my kids. I love my kids to death, even him. Particularly him. I love my kids to death. I would do anything for them, anywhere, anytime. Everywhere I am in the world, I think about my kids. It puts a smile on my face, a song in my heart. I love them every minute of every day, except the mornings. 5:30 in the morning, my 7-year-old's up walking around the house. Hey, Dad, how you going? Good, mate, how are you? Hayden gets up a little bit later, 6 o'clock. Hey, Dad, how you going, mate? Football on the day? Yeah, I know. And it's all nice and relaxed. Hey, guys, what do you want for breakfast? Bit of porridge, bit of eggs and bacon this morning, bit of toast. Yeah, Dad, sounds like great. Another good day coming. Birds are chirping. Bees are buzzing. Looks like a wonderful day in paradise. They've all got to be out the door about 7:30. We get to 6:30. Hey, guys, come on, have you had your breakfast? Had a shower? Started to get ready. Pokemon's on, and I want to do that. And they start moping around, and a couple of them are still in bed, and we're shaking and moving along. And 6:45, 7 o'clock. Hey, guys, come on, need to get moving along. Have you had your breakfast? You had something to eat, something to drink, clean your teeth? The list comes out about 7:10. Intensity's picked up. Fire's coming out of Dad's eyes. Smoke from my ears. Guys, hat, shoes, tie, belt, homework, bag, water bottle, soccer gear, swimming gear. 7:29, in the car! Every morning, thousands and thousands of times. I'm really only 37. Look what it's done to me. It's aged. I got fat. Every morning it's the same things, but I love them desperately, and we all do. We want to give the kids who come along to your clubs, we want to give them a chance to fall in love with the game of netball. When you love something passionately, when you love something, really genuinely love something, you'll tolerate just about anything. You'll tolerate crappy old courts and stinky change rooms and last year's uniforms. You'll tolerate a whole bunch of stuff if you love the game. And we know that the dropout in sport, in all sports, usually occurs in 3 places. Entry into high school. So they've left primary school, they might have to travel a little bit. It's gone from a nice, safe, one-teacher environment. Maybe they could travel a little bit, multiple teachers. Next dropout is usually where high school's getting serious, where someone says to them, I've got to choose some subjects. They're going to determine where you're going to go for the rest of your life. And the third biggest dropout point is exit from high school, entry to university. They're the 3 dropout zones. And that dropout is going to happen to them. The fumes catch them, car fumes and perfumes. They want to grow up. They want to do a whole range of things as part of their natural growth and development. And it's hard for us to hang on to them in any case, particularly around those 3 natural life experiences: growth, maturity, becoming adults. But if the experience that we're giving them and the love that they feel of the experience of netball and the connection that they've got with your club and with you as coach, administrator, committee leader, whatever role you play, if their connection to the sport, the connection to you is strong and powerful and they're genuinely in love with the game, they will fight through inconveniences. They will overcome having to catch buses and get there late. They will find a way to stay connected with you. Unless we give them an excuse not to. If the experiencing that they're getting is not capturing their heart, if they're not falling in love with the sport, if we're not adapting to their changing needs as they get older, if we're working with them at 16 the same way we were at 6, then any excuse, any opportunity to drop out, they will take it. And we lose them to the sport. This has got ramifications not just for you, but for the sport for the next 25 years. Because if a teenager drops out of your sport feeling like it's a negative experience and not enjoying the experience, and they become a parent, and the next generation of 8-year-olds say, hey mum, hey dad, I'm looking for a sport to play, what about netball? And you go, yuck, whatever you do, don't go down to the South Bundaberg Club because Deirdre's probably still there. Now well into her hundreds. Coaches seem to get old and fade away, but committees seem to live forever. But that next generation says my experience and the way I feel about that game, not that strong. I don't think we'll take that as an option. Let's go to AFL, let's go to rugby league, let's go to rugby, let's go to cricket, let's go and try all these wonderful other women's sports experiences that by that time will be well and truly cemented, have their heels dug in and have clubs all over the country. If you don't get on top of this now and you don't start, and a great line like Kath around, dig the well before you get thirsty. If you don't do it now, in 20 years, those kids, when faced with options at every level, may not choose netball. And that'd be sad. That'd be really sad.